Welcome to Enlightened Masculinity Podcast. I'm Yogi Chris, IMC Nation captain, and we're streaming on a bunch of platforms. So quick intro on TikTok. I'm Yogi Chris. I live with AZD, founder of IMC Nation. Instagram, same deal. And this podcast has been dedicated to that. Enlightened Masculinity started way earlier, and I had many other podcasts. One was called Science of Peace that I originally started with Arash, and there were like 20 or 25 episodes with him. And he got me going on that. And then I created a bunch of others. Enlightened Masculinity ended up getting the most traction. It got the most views and things. So I just kind of consolidated the others into this, post the recordings, Apple, Spotify, and whatnot. So if you see it there, leave a comment and follow the show, of course. And this is all things happening with IMC, including my own personal evolution, observations, and things like that. So, the trainings keep going. There's these two parallel lines that happen in IMC Nation. AZD has been teaching the beginner entry-level class for many years. And then there's also advanced programs that happen simultaneously, like 2 lectures a day, or, maybe not every day, but it's just a deeper level of those teachings. I've been on that for a while now, and a lot of guys have. And in the current teachings, there's the idea being thrown around, which is related to our process of embodiment that is called the Beast process. And in this newest teaching has been thrown around the idea of biohacking. And biohacking is, a clever phrase or whatever, just hacking into your own biology in some way, which is in simple, just understanding your biology, your physiology. The more understanding you have and why, cause and effect, like if you eat this, it affects you this way. Improve your digestion with this. Apply this ointment externally from herbs. All medicines come from that and whatever. And biohacking, taking it at a deeper level, as the yogis do. The yogis are already naturally biohacking if they're breathing as they do what they're doing, because breath is one of the easiest, most immediate biohacks. And it really gets kind of gray almost of what is biohacking. Like, what if you became aware of how much tension was in your eyeballs right now as you're looking? And if you were able to relax your eyeballs, you might not be sensitive enough to notice, but if given the right context, I could coach you into noticing that if you relax your eyeballs, your brain relaxes and your whole body relaxes a little bit. That the tension in the eyes, that's the biggest nerve in your body, the optic nerve, except for the spine. And it goes right into the brain. Like, it affects everything. Is that a biohack? If I teach you to relax your eyes, I don't know. It's in a gray area. But what if I teach you how to breathe with your diaphragm? Is that a biohack? Well, what if I explain all the things? This is where I got into teaching the biohacking, that it does on your physiology, activating rest digest. It's the quickest, that is the way. You're being rest digest or fight flight. That breathing and what muscles you're using, the nerves that go to the diaphragm, you don't breathe with your diaphragm when you're panicky. You breathe with your chest and your neck. And those are muscles, different shoulder blade muscles and things that expand and pull up on the upper rib cage. You breathe into your upper chest. So when you use those muscles, there's a nervous signal that's going back and forth to the brain. It's signaling fight flight. Now, people, when they're sitting all day, it's paralyzing their diaphragm. It's atrophying it, basically. You're not using your diaphragm naturally when you sit the way that we sit, for the most part. And, just our lifestyle and how we're taught and everything. You'll have some belly breaths in there sometimes, but there's going to be a lot of neck and chest breathing. You know how people say they carry their tension in their shoulders and neck? Well, you're using those muscles to breathe because you're not using your diaphragm. So is that a biohack? Because if I can get you to rest digest by activating this muscle and deactivating these muscles when you breathe, I think that counts as a biohack. Because there's all sorts of things that go on that are different when you're in rest digest. That's why it's called rest digest. You rest better because you want to distinguish sleep from rest. That's an obvious one. And so you could be sleeping when you're excited. You won't wake up very rested. So that's a huge biohack. Then digest. You're going to have a lot of indigestion if you're, how like right after you work out, you eat maybe liquid foods that are like easily digested, that go in real easily. But you might not want to chew up a bunch of food while you're all excited. You want to calm down before you'll assimilate better. So that's obviously a biohack. So is it just a biohack even just to know that I should just calm down before I eat? I don't need to teach you any breathing. Just calm down. before you eat, if you don't want indigestion, if you want to take your time chewing your carbs so that you don't get a bunch of gas. Because carbs, okay, so is that a biohack? Knowing that carbohydrates are only digested in the mouth. Digestion means broken down by enzymes. And the only enzyme that breaks down carbs is saliva. So if you swallow a bunch of carbs without chewing it sufficiently, it doesn't have enough to break it down. You basically have a bunch of bread in your gut that starts to ferment. You get gas. That's among other things. That's how you get food allergies if you don't chew up your breads enough. That's why people become all gluten, whatever, later, because they didn't chew up all these grains growing up. And, so some undigested food particles made their way into their system. And it just over time, it fucks with your immune system and how it treats, foreign entity, foreign, I forget the word, but things that shouldn't be in your bloodstream, basically. If you get food particles in your blood, that's not exactly how it's supposed to be. Undigested food particles. So is that a biohack? That's just like nutritional, knowing nutrition. That's where it's not that it's gray or not, it's that it's to what degree or not. It's like, it is a biohack to, know what time you should go to sleep at night because it's better for you, what time you should eat, So now we get to my more relevant point for enlightened masculinity. And for why it's on the TikToks, IMC Nation, what we do, I think we do better than anybody in the world. And I titled this stream when I stream it to the YouTubes, and how it'll probably be titled on the podcast is Biohacking. What did I call it? Biohack your game with women. That's what I called it. Biohacking your game with women. Because, and I must synthesize, this is episode like 350. So I must synthesize kind of some talking points from some previous things that basically, everything a man is doing in life, at the end of the day, at some point you'll grow up, but until you become aware, you could be 80 years old and not have grown up yet, that what you're doing is really pursuing this mating agenda. You have some agenda, there's a kind of girl you want, and the way you're going to get her is by doing what you're doing. And it can be very frustrating if a guy hasn't made those align, where he's doing what he's doing for some other reason, but the kind of girl he wants is this other kind of girl, and it doesn't align. And it's kind of like I used to say, scratching an itch in the wrong place, where it's like, don't you realize that you're doing what you're doing to get the woman that you want? You're surviving. Like, first you got to survive. But if you're eating and you got a place to sleep, like basics, then you're going for a girl. You want a girl. You want a woman. What kind of woman do you want? At first it's attraction, of course, but it's like physical attraction. But there's a kind of woman. And if you don't know what kind of woman that gets along with you, that you could grow with, then you're lacking experience. But that's fine. So you're going for women, you want women, and you have a life, a way of surviving. And a lot of people, a lot of guys have this separated where they're doing what they're doing to survive. It doesn't have anything directly to do with women, but it has everything indirectly to do with women, because they're doing it so that they, even if it's woman, they might have in their mind, woman, I want to get married, I want to have white picket fence, I want a family, this and that. They don't really want that, but that's what they say. Internally, they have all these other wants they are denying. And they're doing what they're doing. They've somehow reasoned that that's the right way to do it. And most people are wrong. They're right for them. I don't mind them being lazy, sheep, whatever, except that it kind of dims the whole society, the whole planet. Like, it would be nice if we all ascended. On a very savage, selfish way, I don't mind them all wasting their lives, because that's just one more person out of the running for me, out of the competition. At the same time, they vote. So it's like a bunch of dumbasses that are off. When you have incongruency like that, where guys are striving for money and resources, not knowing that they're doing that so that they can get the woman that they want. And they think they need the money or that career or something, the stability. I don't know what they're thinking. But if they haven't put those two together, they're going to be real frustrated in life. And frustrated men, it's not going to make good decisions. It's just going to, So we educate the world. That at the same time, when time is limited, you can't educate everybody. Then you want to educate your favorites. You want to educate the people that pay you, that support your life. And so it's not for free. At this point, the game has evolved to a place here at IMC Nation that it's not for free. It's to be sold, not told. At the same time, we have 400 clips on all these social media platforms and hundreds of full-length YouTube videos, and there's a lot for free. So it is given for free. And, you know, if a man wanted to climb his way out, then the path is there. You just got to get involved, like click the links, join up, explore around, see what we got going on. So biohacking your game with women. You know, my understanding, you know, with communication, that's how you court a woman. Like I said a few episodes ago, or 10, 20 episodes ago, reviewing the book, The Mating Mind, and they spelled it out pretty clearly, you know, so you just take my word for it when I tell you the fact and figure, that essentially a courtship between meeting a woman, or men and women meeting, and then getting together. How did they define that? They didn't say marriage, but like maybe girlfriend, boyfriend, like a relationship. From zero to relationship is around 1 million words exchanged. And they worked it out. And if you just transcribe this lecture right now, it'd be a lot of words. But if you're shooting the shit with the girl and you're dating, and you're like, you've exchanged a lot of words. And that's communication. What else is that? So communication and seduction and relationships and anything you want to call it, picking up women, it's all communication, communicating with your body, with your words and everything. So in communication, inner sensitivity is important, to feel when it's off or not, to feel when what you said was good or not, when it was funny or not, to have that sense of humor is an inner sensitivity to something. And it may be off. There's a couple things here. There's one, you got to become aware of your feelings. And I don't have it exact, but I'd like you to entertain the idea that feelings are different from emotions. They're not the same thing. Just like earlier I said, rest and sleep. Feelings and emotion are not the same. The language of English may be limited in this sense, but we have sensations, we have feelings, we have emotions. So just think of emotions as like this psychophysical thing happening. Versus feeling, I could feel something that doesn't have anything to do with like my mind necessarily, other than I'm feeling it in my mind through my body. So becoming sensitive and aware of feelings when you're feeling a communication, when you're feeling what you just did or said, or what you just did or said, and navigating that, having an appropriate response to the feeling. Some people get offended and then they blurt out a bunch of insults. Another person gets offended and they ask, why would you say that? Not realizing they misheard. The first person and second, they may have both misheard what was said. You ever get upset at somebody and it's not even what they said, or they got upset at you and it's not even what you said? You know, so that's a certain internal belief system, aka a strategy for how to handle this feeling inside. When I feel this, I do that. And that will, like law of attraction, determine where you get in life. Because when you have all these feelings and sensations, what you say, I mean, that could put people off, that could get them to cooperate with you, that could get the woman, lose the woman, make the friend, lose the friend. You know, how you cope with this feeling and translate into your communication, follow that forward day after day. That's why a lot of people resign themselves to no communicating, because they keep fucking up everywhere. So they just kind of hermit themselves up and then complain about everybody. It's like, not you. No. I'm not saying that about you. I mean, it's different to be. It's both. It's both. You, like me, have that tendency if we were living alone, of course. But then you, like me, are social scientists. I'm talking to Sovereign Outlaw, who's online, because he lives alone. He is a hermit, but you're not a hermit like that because you're a social guy. I mean, like a recluse. I mean, you are these words. I mean, I don't know what the right word is, but antisocial. You're not antisocial. So, you know, a lot of people will be antisocial. It's because they don't know how to, they keep shitting everywhere they communicate and repelling people, not knowing why they're in these conflicts or whatever. And I've been there too. And sometimes I get there, you know, the waves of life and personal evolution continue for me too. So I have highs and lows, and some days it feels like I'm just fucking rubbing everybody wrong and everybody's rubbing me wrong. And what the fuck? And how do you deal with that? How do you communicate when you feel like you're rubbed wrong? because that's all it is. It's a subjective experience. But your words, even though they disappear, their effect is forever. You can never take back the effect. Your feeling will come and go. And what do you do with it? You know, that's easy to say. It's a nice philosophy. And it's true. Now practice, you know. So biohacking, you got to feel this stuff and learn to see the decisions you're making about how to cope with it and navigate with it. And that takes an inner, you know, clarity. And yoga is natural at that. I kind of started this whole rant with like yoga naturally, you biohack if you're breathing when you do it. Now the thing about yogis is they became very antisocial. Even if they're in groups with each other, they don't know how to talk with each other. People are antisocial, but not in the strictest term. That's if that is an exact term, then it's a minority are antisocial like that. It's everybody just sucks at communicating, is what it is. But the yogi, more than the meditator, even though a meditator is a kind of yogi, but the physical yogi, and then, you know, why that's exceptional. I've done many episodes, why that's exceptional above other forms of exercise or whatever, except for Tai Chi or Qigong or any other practices, soft arts like that. Yoga does better than those arts, but those arts are very similar and close. And it's all on how you do it. You know, there's people that hurt themselves with yoga. That's not the yoga, that's the person. And, you know, so it develops this inner sensitivity. That's not a comprehensive well-being practice to just only ever do yoga, unless you're going to live in a mountain and be a yogi monk. But it's better than other forms of exercise because if done right, and that's what the practice is, you get practiced at doing it right, or more and more right, is you learn to calm down while you're doing it. And you learn a lot internally about how to breathe off tension, how to relax parts of your body, how to biohack, essentially, how to recognize eye tension, tongue tension, you know, hand and toe tension, belly tension that people are just numb to. They're numb to their own tension. And that's a clue. They're also numb to their own mental thinking. And they just don't recognize it because they're so used to it being that way. They don't even see it. It's just always there. Or it's just always the way it is. So breathing, and especially belly breathing. I mean, there's a first step to every journey. So where you start, I don't, you know, but eventually you'll learn how to breathe in a way that pulls down on your lungs, that triggers the vagus nerve and the phrenic nerve up into the brainstem, essentially, and above it, and just makes you calm down. And when you calm down, you'll see more clearly. Doesn't mean you have all the answers, because you still need, like I taught long ago, you still need philosophy. You'll calm down and you'll tap into the cosmic universe of everything, but then you have a big, wide open ocean of potentials. That how do you navigate that? You need philosophy to move through this thing. So that's why people that are in the world, they may have good philosophy, but they lack self-awareness. So they're not seeing this separation that's happening, that they are living out the program as if they're the program. And then yogis, they're separating from the program, but then they're getting all atrophied in their social behaviors and how to communicate. And, you know, so they're all good at being inwards and shelled up, but being outwards, and they feel so much they're so sensitive inside that it gets more and more intense, all the social violations. They really start to feel it. But this is, in my experience, how I became better and better was studying the philosophy, IMC Nation, AZD, along with all the references and things, and then having a personal practice that made me more sensitive to, for lack of a better word, my own magnetic field, that my own field of feeling, and even visualizing it like that has made me better at seeing when I have holes or bulges or abnormalities in my energy field, where I've lost integrity because it's too flattened or too extended. You know, all of these analogies help make the invisible visible. And good communication, as AZD has taught, makes the invisible visible. Philosophy makes the invisible visible. It's so obvious once you hear it. It's like, oh yeah, that's easy. Well, you say it before you hear it. Let me hear your philosophy. What's your philosophy? Okay. So I'd like to open it up. I've been going for a while, and I appreciate all the listeners. We have Sovereign Outlaw. We have Master Myself live on Zoom. We're also streaming. I'm going to check the chat all over there. But if you guys have what inspirations, we'll give it a second while I check all of these chats, or just, feel free to comment. If I'm missing comments on TikTok, and then just feel free to jump in. What is AZD? I mean, you're on this account. AZD is Arash. So Arash it's the acronym of his name, Arash Sapardi Bazaar. So that's AZD. What is? Who is?
I'll jump in if you want.
Yeah, jump in.
Us. I've been doing biohacking for probably about 15, 20 years. So I'd just like to add a bit more datum to what you've said. From a yogic perspective, yes, it is biohacking. I would call it biohacking. Only from the perspective that you know the outcome that you want, and you're doing the practice in order to get that outcome. And that's what would essentially make it biohacking.
So intention being very important there, that you're not biohacking if you don't have the intention to biohack.
Well, you said something really important earlier. It's breathing, okay? There's belly breathing, where you're consciously breathing, right, to have a desired result, whereas most of us breathe every day without any intention of anything. It's unconscious breathing, so that wouldn't be biohacking because there's no result. So, like, for myself,
yeah, just breathing is not biohacking. But hacking means like a computer hacker. There's like some cause effect that's happening here, and I'm becoming aware of it, and I'm tweaking the variables to affect the system. Is biohacking versus just doing what you've always done is not biohacking.
Yeah, but also hacking is also reaching a space that's forbidden, in a sense. So there are key parts of the body that we could.
That makes me think like semen retention. Like semen retention, would that be considered biohacking?
Yes, totally.
There you go. So would holding your breath, learning how to hold your breath longer, be considered biohacking?
I would consider it a form of natural biohacking, but biohacking has evolved into a more external technical version of biohacking too. Like making beer is a form of biohacking. Making kimchi is also a form of biohacking.
Baking beer? How is beer? Oh, you mean like because it's hacking the biology of wheat and shit?
And then like kombucha. The way I see kombucha, like this is my Scooby here. I'll bring it to you. Like I've had this for about 7 years, and the simplest way to say that this is my bacterial enzymes that belong in my stomach, but it's outside of my body. So that would make it a biohack. So if I ever get sick at any point, I have the exact genetic code for my enzymes in this jar to replace the missing bacterial and flora and fauna in my stomach. So it's my external stomach. So from that perspective,
Totally.
it's a hack.
Again, yeah, because it's anything that's going to tweak the variables inside.
Yes.
And change your experience because you have some understanding of cause effect of variables that are important to the system. And then it's, how you're going to define your system. Is it just your physical? Is it emotional? That's where I went into the biohacking in my yoga workshops would be the belly breathing and then tapping you in very, very calm. I'd have the people drop their heart rate and then I'd have them hear what they're saying and I'd have them talk to themselves. I'll give them some mantras or whatever, because it would be imprinting or impressing the commands and the meanings and things, energies and frequencies associated with those meanings of those words deeper into their rest digest system. And the idea of tapping into the subconscious and how all those meditation and sorcery schools of thought think about, relax, relax, relax to get into the subconscious. So I would teach would the science of relaxing be considered biohacking?
Yes, totally. Like knowing that your enzymes are breaking, just the very fact that your brain is calculating and measuring that the enzymes are currently breaking the carbohydrates down in your mouth. In other words, just hold more saliva in your mouth while you're eating so you can get more desired nutrients into your body. The knowledge of that in itself, like you're doing a visualization in the brain at the same time. So you're virtually telling your body, your car, your vessel, your computer program, operate in this way. So you're taking direct control of your body to say, I want you to actually eat the carbs at this time, and you have direct control of your body. And that's a hack. Like for me, one of the first biohacks I found, I could never touch my toes until I actually started doing yoga. And a friend of mine said, all you do is you discombobulate your brain. In other words, do this with your head really quickly and then spin around, and then you can instantly touch your toes because the brain's gone all lopsided and discombobulated. So you can fool your brain into feeling like the brain's upside down, and then you can stretch and touch your toes. But if I had to think about that process, then I wouldn't be able to touch my toes without stretching and doing yoga and tapping in. So a hack is pretty much instantly getting to the end result using a trick in a way.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, let me just put this back in here.
Intermittent fasting and the cold showers, definitely. Those are also hacks. Intermittent fasting.
Dude, we live a hack lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're hacking all the time. We have the morning process, we got the evening process. And then what I'm trying to bridge for people is this translation, like you're saying, all these understandings about the gut bacteria and all these things that, you know, people don't know how much it affects them until they start tweaking it. Like you don't know how much your breathing affects you until you change how you do it. And you don't know how much your eyes affect you until you change what you're doing. You don't know, you know, all these things. So people, when you change these variables and you feel and notice how these variables affect your system, and you study this philosophy, you begin to really notice how the variables of communication affect the system. Just like the variables of if it was too acidic or not, or, you know, too much salt, or, you know, not enough sleep. It's all these variables. It's not becoming a sissy. There's a difference between sensitivity and fragility. Being fragile, man, I'm all kinds of distinctions today. This is, I don't even know how to synthesize. So yeah, go ahead. You got something on that?
You made a distinction, and I'll shut up from there. But like emotion and feelings we use feelings as a literal measuring tool. Like we walk into a room and go, good feeling, bad feeling, odd feeling. And then for us, emotion is a state. So we can go from one state to another. Whereas other people they have the tool, but they don't know it's a feeling. It's, you know, or they're driven by the state that they're in. Like I am happy or I am depressed. They're in the state, whereas we create the state that we want for the environment that we'll be using. And then, well, the environment we're going into, then we use our feelings as a measuring instrument, you know, while we're gaming. And it's just,
that's what I'm saying. Like in gaming being just like the overall strategy of social dynamics, like gaming, living, when we're that's what I'm saying. Like we have a process, and that gets us in tune with our instrument, or gets us more aware and sensitive of our instrument. And then we are social scientists in the set, or social artists rather. And so we're painting our experience when we're out there, or just out there, could even be on Instagram or digitally or whatever, like your communication, your streaming, this is my art. And, you know, the, just, you know, whatever you were saying, I kind of lost the thought, but it's that the movement inside that I feel, there's a shift inside when I change my nutrition, my habits, and all these hacks that compose our process. Change my and then so when you change up your communication and how you relate with people, how you think about people, what we might call alchemy. Is alchemy not a biohack? Or what, at least when you change your beliefs about things and you change your emotions about things, and you do that in a strategic way by how you talk about it, talk to yourself, change your language, like neuro-linguistic programming. You could call it a mental hack, but then your body physically feels it right away. You feel when it's different. And so is that not a biohack? It's the psycho somatic effect. And you know, so whether it's gray or not, just falls under self-mastery. And self-mastery is this path, because relating with so many other people, and when they give you their intimacy and their trust and their vulnerability and whatever, and you got to be a stable center that they can orbit around. Even if you're moving, you're growing, you're changing, you're not holding static in the same place, but you are stable. So there's something different. Man, another distinction. There's something different between stable and stationary. Boom. Man, all these distinctions today. I hope I remember them when I write the description. Probably won't, but it doesn't matter. This is a great episode. Anything else from the audience? I could keep going, but I should probably stop. Everybody, I think, sign up for the new camp. New camp is out. Return of the Beast. It's great. If you're catching the recording on this, then go to imcbase1.com and just see what's hosted there. That's the most recent stuff. Get involved. Okay, going once, going twice. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending Enlightened Masculinity. This was streamed to IMC TV YouTube. So shout out IMC TV YouTube. And shout out all the staff members that make this possible. I appreciate you. And Master myself, IMC 5 leader.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just one question. What's, in your opinion, the greatest biohack in terms of what you've used? I mean, is yoga that, or is there anything in particular that stands out more than others, in your opinion?
Well, at first, when I think about that, there is not something that just stands out. I don't know that I would consider yoga itself as a, I mean, it's interesting how you put it, yoga as a biohack, very general overarching term. It would be kind of like saying, changing up your nutrition is a biohack or something. Again, falling under, what is considered a biohack versus just, self-mastery. I might be kind of conflating those two ideas. Biohacking not being self-mastery. And then I think Solver and Outlaw probably wants to share his greatest biohacker in answer to that question. So let me say, okay, there's several routes that I got to it. And, when I say it, I don't think it'll be as profound for you all as probably whatever Solver Outlaw says. It's not going to be as profound for us as it is for him. But the internal ability to, in my own nervous system, calm down my nervous system, physically relax, and whatever internally I need to do to let go, relax. But further than the physical relaxing, but like mentally and in my nervous system, feel, even though my body is okay. So it's possible to be very physically relaxed, get a bunch of massage, sit in a sauna, a steam room, whatever. And you could be so soft, but internally not relaxed. And so the internally relaxed and the externally relaxed, and doing that consciously in my own volition, the ability to do that, is probably the most profound, because it has translated to a very deep and successful meditation practice that's so important on this process. And I think calm relaxation has helped me study, retain information, get better rest, relax socially. Very, very important, especially in conflict. So I think relaxing probably is my favorite biohack. Okay, Sovereign Outlaw, what do you have to say?
You pretty much said everything I was going to say, but I was actually going to use Arash as an example. Mm-hmm. Like the beasting process came out of a breakup, and I think being able to transmute heartbreak into something positive, that's like a superpower. Because a woman destroying a man, can really destroy in more ways than one. So being able to transmute that pain and that hurt, the energy of hurt, into something positive, that's a biohack in itself. And that's pretty much what I have to say to that.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on to that. I think a lot of that it's a couple things with it. I'm always dissecting things like that. But I think on the more to the point, it's an alchemy. It's a mental change. Ultimately, it's an evolution, a personal inner evolution of mind, which is made of light. And that transmutation or transformation happens philosophically in one's belief system. And the heartbreak and all the body ache and the energy that's associated with breakup and cheating and all that, the process and the disciplines channeled that energy into philosophical discoveries and personal evolution. And so, yeah, the shifting of one's beliefs so that the breakup, it's not making it not significant. It's just putting it in its proper place of significance, which at the end of the day ends up being very, very insignificant to a man of value that has a lot going on. And actually deeply understanding that and believing that, so that it's not like I'm just telling myself that, but I'm still so heartbroken. The heartbreak is feeling like I was done wrong. And there's some misconceptions about that. It's a resistance of what is. And so the philosophy is off. The expectations are wrong. It's not aligned with what is. So yeah, that alchemy and biohack, and that was a fun episode. And so I think the bridge has been built from normie, regular person who doesn't even know how to breathe right, into a deep relationship, mental alchemist, and master of oneself, master myself. So the bridge has been built in this episode. It was a fun episode. I love participation. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Enlightened Masculinity. Every Wednesday right now it is 6 p.m. Pacific. Os.